So from 1964 till about halfway through 1968-69 school year at Fuller Seminary, I would have argued with anybody that believed what I believe today and would have said, no way, that cannot be with the Bible or cannot be philosophically. And then I arrive at Fuller Seminary and I'm in a class with James Morgan, who died of stomach cancer while I was there, and Dan Fuller, the one on hermeneutics, the other on systematic theology, and coming from both sides, exegesis and theology, I was feeling myself absolutely cornered by all the evidences of God's sovereignty in the Bible, many of which I presented tonight. And I can remember maybe two little anecdotes. I can remember standing outside one day, outside the classroom. I don't know if I'm going to wreck the video by doing this. And I got in front of Morgan. I got in front of James Morgan. He was a very big man until he got cancer. He was just huge and a really great teacher, about 36 years old. And I can remember he had a big black armband and he'd march in the marches of 68 and 69. And he said, I love Jesus, John Piper. And he's teaching me all this stuff about the sovereignty of God. And I got in his face one day. I said, watch this, Morgan. I dropped it. That was my view of free will. And then the other anecdote is at the end of that class, after patient pointing to the Bible and the Holy Spirit, I can remember going home. This is before I was married to Noel. We were married in December. This was happening in the fall. I would go home after class. I would put my face in my hands in my room, and I would just cry because my world was coming apart. I just couldn't figure anything out. So I'm really patient and tender with people who struggle. I hope I am anyway, who struggle with this, and give them a lot of space to move gradually to where God is taking them. But at the end of his class, in a blue book, I can remember back when we used blue books for final exams, and I wrote the exam, Romans 9 is like a tiger going around devouring free willers like me. And it did. And that chapter just held me for the next, till 1982, when I wrote the book, The Justification of God, because I had to come to terms for myself and for my students when I was teaching at Bethel. What does Romans 9 really mean? I heard all the efforts to get out of it, what seemed to be a plain meaning, and they never commended themselves. Even in scholarly ways, they never commended themselves. So I would date my transition from a kind of unsophisticated believer in my autonomy and my self-determination to a biblical vision of God's sovereignty over my life in his grace in the fall of 68 and on into 69.